Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to a brand new video. So for today one in store, we actually have an update on PvP guide. I know that we are getting a lot of changes in 10.0.7, but that patch is still far away because it's coming during the spring as I heard, and the spring will come in like a month and a half approximately, which is a little bit far away. And since I did my last guide, I actually changed a lot of stuff, I figured out a lot of stuff, learned some new tips and tricks. So I just felt obligated to share with you. So yeah, if you wanna stay in touch with all the epic content and all the guides and stuff like this, tossing a subscribe would mean a world to me and would actually motivate me to keep grinding these videos and, you know, become even better and better. So yeah, without any further ado, let's just jump with the guide. Just a quick thing before we start with the guide that I forgot to mention, that if you actually haven't watched any of my guides and you're curious about all in-depth things such all the add-ons, VK, auras, macros and stuff that I'm using, then make sure to check the previous guide that I make because it is still relevant, and this is just update for that guide for the things that I changed. So you will have the link down in the description. First check that in-depth guide and then come here for an update. And of course you can join my Discord where you can get all those macros, add-ons, weak auras and stuff like that, and just overall be in the great Enhancement Shaman community. And yeah, that's it. Let's start with the guide. So first thing that I want to start with is actually going to be the gear and the stat priority. Of course, stat priority remains the same as before, with number 1 agility, then versa, then haste, then mastery, then crit. But I figured out something else, and speaking of gear, we are actually going for all 4 set pieces. Now I know a lot of you are skeptical about it because they doesn't give versatility, and it's actually a very stupid way of Blizzard for, you know, making it mandatory. If you want to use 4 pieces, you won't have versa on all of them. But to be completely honest, I do understand that because versatility just doesn't matter that much anymore. So I had like 35 to 36% of versatility in PvP while I was using only 2 pieces, which were shoulders and legs, which only gives versa, and I was using all these other conquests and stuff like that. And the moment I swapped for these 4 pieces and lost like I think 5 to 6% of versatility, if I'm not mistaken, I literally felt nothing different. It's completely the same, but it's actually a good thing because this effect of set, which says consuming Millstorm weapon stacks, increases the haste by 1% per stack for 4 seconds. So essentially this Stormstrike spec, obviously I'm playing the Stormstrike spec if you were wondering, is, you know, main focus on the haste and on that on making that Millstorm stacks. So this thing actually helps us a lot because our generation of Millstorm stack while in combat is completely insane. So pretty much every few seconds we are spending our stacks, so it is actually helping us a lot because we are getting our haste more and more stacked. With that we getting more and more Millstorm procs, more hits and stuff like that. So eventually it's a win-win situation and you should definitely go for it. I was a little bit skeptical, but once I figured out how it actually works, it's in fact a very good thing. And if you check the top enhancement shamans in solo shuffle and other brackets, you will see that all of them are using. And as I said at the beginning of this section, I did speak to a few gladiators and try to theory craft with them and stuff like that, so trust me, this is the best choice for sure. And speaking of it, the other gear are simply just go with the haste versa. By the way, I think the best 4 pieces for the set are everything except the legs, and legs we can use the conquest 1, which gives actually haste versatility. So essentially we are not using anything, we are just gaining more haste. But for now I don't have my hands in the tier set, so once I get it I will swap my hands with the legs. So yeah, that's the BS4. So once again, neck I'm using obviously this one for the haste versa, back this one primal infused, which I will buy the conquest next week when I get the points. Bracer same, hands as I said, this one until I get the tier. waste haste versa boots. This one is actually most important for PvP, so if you didn't craft it yet, make sure to craft it, because as you can see it reduces the duration of the incoming crown control effects by 5%. So fingers for now. I have this one for haste versa and actually crimson aspirant, which I will change eventually for the mastery versatility, because that's how we gotta do with the fingers, because we can't stack the double haste. But for now this is the best option. Weapons, these are the best because unfortunately Conquest 1 gives versatility and crit, so if we use both of them we are actually gonna lose a lot of haste. But Conquest items are better by only 4%, so unless you're an elite upgrade on your items, then you can maybe use one Conquest, one this primal infused, but I just suggest going for both for haste, because you know that's what we mostly need. And for trinket last changes, that I started using this battle master, which I'm gonna be talking a little bit when I start with the talents, because it became one of my defensive cooldowns, if I can say like that. So pretty much, yeah, that's the idea behind the gear. Enchants are pretty much the same, except on weapons I started using both Sophic Devotion. I don't know if that's the name of the highest rank, but it's one that gives you your primary stat, aka agility, and since that's the stat that pumps our damage insanely, and just having both weapons enchanted with maximum level of agility, once it procs, it actually can make a big mess, so I just suggest going for that. Screw the versa, screw the haste. You can go others, you won't get too much harm, but for now, as other glad shamans, we feel like going for pure agility is just the best option. So yeah, that's pretty much all regarding the gear and that. As I said, the previous guide that I made is still relevant, because I won't be covering all the add-ons because nothing changed there. I won't be covering most of the macros because most of them are same. I have just one new addition. Also enchants are the same except these weapons, which I just said here. So yeah, just if you are interested in full in-depth guide, then make sure to check the one that I did before, and after that you can check this one just to upgrade yourself, and that's how hierarchy should work. So yeah, after finishing with the gear, we are moving on to the talents, where the biggest changes have happened. So after trying a lot of different specs, a lot of different talent combos, here I actually decided to ditch my healing talents for good, and that's one of suggestions that Shady actually gave to me, the rank 1 shaman right now, which is actually a very good thing, especially for the rated brackets, because at this point we just can't afford to heal ourselves, like and yeah, this applies on solo shuffle as well. So we are playing there with the healer. Games are much shorter. Dampening in solo shuffle, if I'm not mistaken, starts from the beginning or after the first minute or something like that, but it's not important. The important thing is that we just can't afford to be using any heals on us, because that way we are losing a lot of DPS and we just don't do anything with the heal. Like yeah, if warrior sits on us, our healing is reduced, so it's even worse that way. So we're just gonna use the heal, they're just gonna remove our damage. We don't get any damage reduction, we don't get anything, so heal kinda became stupid to use, as are these all of these healing talents. So instead of them you could just go for a better mobility or CC or utility and stuff like that. And as you can see, I'm not even using the refreshing waters too. So yeah, these are all the changes that I made. So obviously for the left side we are going for Totemic Surge, and this actually helps a lot because it reduces the cooldown of grounding totem by 6 seconds. So if you're versus ranges, you can do grounding totem for 1,000,000 times during that game, and it can actually save you a game pretty much. So this one is very, very good. Mana Spring Totem is also good because Mana Spring became a passive spell, and it pretty much it works in some way like Aura from Paladins. So pretty much once you're spamming your Storm Strike, you have chance to restore the mana for you and your allies, so during some longer game your healer will survive that mana battle versus the other one 100%. So in terms of longer games, especially for the rated 3v3, this one is just better. Solo shuffles are pretty shorter, but it can still help there for sure, because there is, a lot of different healers. And the one that I started using that I wasn't using before is Ancestral Guidance. And the thing that I didn't know about this is that this effect, which says 25% of your damage and healing, is converted healing on up to 3 nearby injured party raid members. That actually applies on you yourself. So once you use that, you're not healing only your allies, but you're healing yourself as well. So I decided to start using it as some sort of semi cooldown. So yeah, it's actually a very good, because not that it only heals your allies but yourself, so you all benefit from this. So in solo shuffle, once again in 3v3 and stuff like that, it's very, very useful and you should go for it. So for the middle part, for solo shuffles, I actually decided to switch to the Flames Traveler, because lately I've been having some longer games since I kinda changed my play style. So from time to time, actually, Astral Shift cooldown manages to, get off the cooldown, so I can actually use it twice, so it is very good. Of course, going for the Wind Share, 1 cap totem. It's just we just need some sort of stun, and even though from time to time it will miss or it will get killed, then you can change it for the next game, but overall I think it's useful. Tremor, of course, is a must if you're going against any class that has fear. And of course, Third Grab, I like it very much because you can do a lot of combos with that. Nature's Guardian, once again a little bit defense. And for this one I decided to ditch the improved Lightning Bolt, of course Thunderstorm and Lightning Lasso. So in solo shuffle and other rated arenas, I don't feel like these two talents are much helpful, especially the improved Lightning Bolt, because let's say in average solo shuffle all 6 matches I would maybe throw 1 to 2 Lightning Bolts, or probably 0, because mostly you are just spamming the Elemental Blast, or even if you're in a high danger you would use that little bit heal. So this one is actually a very good change for 10.0.7, which is getting removed, and just we're getting that 10% Lightning Bolt damage based. So I decided to ditch this part and actually move on to the right, where I decided that of course Hex is mandatory, especially in solo shuffles, and having it reduce cooldown to 15 seconds is pretty much insane, and you can always either CC your enemy healer, of course, either CC the other guy that you're not killing, so you can reduce the pressure on your healer for heals and stuff like that. And if you're playing against the 2 melees, then I recommend not to go for the both hexes, because you're gonna be interrupted in 95% chances, so at that point it's not worth it. So of course here going for the purge, all the stuff. Brimming with the life is actually a very good, because it increases your health a lot. So when the game starts, from time to time I pop up the Earth Elemental, and with this one I have a million's health, so people from time to time decided not to focus me because they get scared of how much health I have, so it's actually a very good thing to trick them. And the last thing that I changed is go with the flow, which reduces the cooldown of Spirit Walk. It is 15 seconds now, it will be better in the next patch, but at this point putting the 2 talents in here instead of improved Lightning Bolt is much better option, and having your Spirit Walk on the 45 seconds is a good thing. So yeah, that's the idea behind the Shaman points available, and these talents are mostly for the rated PvP, solo shuffle, 3v3 and stuff like that. So on the right side nothing much has changed, except that I decided to ditch my Wind Fury totem because it was getting destroyed in a lot of situations. In few other situations I was forgetting to put it down, so at that point it just became useless. And I would love if Blizzard would make that Windfury Totem becomes Aura as this mana spring, so it just, you know, grant a soul a little bit of chance for that extra swing and stuff like that, instead of having to use it with that low HP, blah blah blah. So yeah, it's just better to take the Ice Strike, which can actually deal some damage. And I had to take the Swirling Maelstrom in order to go this right path, and unfortunately, but it's more worth to go that route than the Windfury one. So of course all of these others are regular. As I said, I ditched the healing here, and we are going for deeply rooted elements, and I decided to go for the static accumulation. I swear to God, not only that I have noticed, but a lot of other shamans have noticed that there might be a secret behind this static accumulation spell, which just makes it, if you are using that two talents, it makes deeply rooted elements proc a little bit more than it would usually without it. And I know it might sound silly or anything like that, but since I started using it and testing it out, and a few other shamans as well, we all noticed the same thing, that the deeply rooted elements, aka Ascendance, is proccing much more frequently than without these two stacks. And overall, with these 4 tier sets and this combo of talents, static accumulation is actually very good, because once Ascendance proc, with only 1 to 2 wind strikes, you're going to have full 10 stacks. So you rush Alley Blast, then once again 1-2 wind strikes, then Alley Blast again, and you can pretty much murder your enemies. So this talent is actually very useful for this set, and especially with all the haste and all the stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much with the talents, and these are, as I said, for arena. Now I do have these other talents which I actually use for the duels and 1v1 fights, because in 1v1 fights our healing actually matters, because we don't have anyone there to cover for us, and we just simply have to cover for ourselves. And as being soft as we are, healing is actually needed. So for this one, for the duels, pretty much idea is the same, you know, taking the Totemic Surge, but I'm not going for Mana Spring or Ancestral Guidance, because only for me it's not that helpful. But and also go with the flow won't do a big change to us. So first change here is obviously taking the Astral Bulwark, because just taking that additional damage reduced, because in duel nobody will stop attacking you, they will just continue, and shorter cooldown won't help you, because duels usually end in like a minute or less. So it's just not this one is the best option here. And for the duels, very good thing is Thunderstorm when you're stunned, to knock your enemies, or simply the Lightning Lasso. If they trinketed, you can deal quite good amount of damage and, you know, just interrupt them for a bit. So this way we had to take the improved Lightning Bolt, but yeah, that will change very soon. And of course we went for Focused Instant Heal, similar for the other side, we went for Refreshing Waters. And because of that, yeah, I should move this talent here, I forgot about that. And yeah, because of that Refreshing Waters, we actually can't have the two talents in static accumulation, but one will still do us a big thing. So once it procs, we will once again receive that Maelstrom weapon stacks faster, so it's actually very good. So yeah, these are the talents that I use, you know, for the duels, world PvP, and you know that 1v1 fighting mostly, and probably in a regular battlegrounds as well, because it is all over the place, so you never know if the healer is with you or not. So yeah, it's actually very good there. So that's it pretty much for the talents. Now moving on to the PvP talents. So of course Static Field Totem is a must, and there is actually a very good combo with Totemic Projection, which I will talk in a second. Grounding Totem is always a must, unless you're fighting two degenerate melees in solo shuffle, then just go for the Counter Strike and pray for them to not notice it, and they're gonna kill themselves very easily. Of course, this is the combo that I use versus the melees in the solo shuffle in the most situations, just to, you know, cleave them as much as possible. If I'm fighting the rangers, of course I changed the grounding, and I started taking the season winds a little bit, especially if I'm fighting something specific such as Frost Mage or, you know, some Warlock and stuff like that. So interrupting them would actually make you, you know, have a little bit more damage reduced than yourself, which is mostly useful of these talents, because, you know, if you're fighting mage and you take the shamanism, he's gonna steal your hero. Thunder Charge useless, Ethereal Form useless, Sky Fury Totem useless, Unleashing Wind as well, you know, it's just bunch of useless talents. And, you know, and for the 1v1 talent, then how I play the world PvP, and, you know, obviously in the duels I swap between grounding and counter, of course, but for this one in world PvP, in the second place I'm actually using the Swirling Waves just to boost my heals much more. So once again in duels I'm gonna be perfectly fine with my self heal, and yeah, that's the idea behind the talents. Now after this we are jumping to tips and tricks, where I'm gonna be explaining the totemic projection thing and, you know, something else. So before we start with the tips and tricks, I actually just wanted to mention this macro that I started using, and it is pretty much having the frost and the flame shock in one, and this is what macro look like. So you can either copy from there or you can join my Discord and you will have that linked in. So this pretty much saves you the space on your bars and on your keybinds, because you have both shocks in one. So once you start the battle, you just press that button, you will use the first shock, then press again, you will use the second shock, and that way you're just, you know, saving the space and everything. So yeah, that's the only change in the macros. Anyway, going on the tips and tricks. So first of all, there is actually a very good thing with this totemic projection. So what it actually says is that it relocates your active totems to the specified location, and its range is 40 yards range. So how does it work is, for example, you wanna, let's say, stun this mage, he blinks away, and you just, okay, I was too late, but you just use this totemic projection on himself. I actually have the macro for that, so you don't have to do the double click, but just use your keybind, and wherever is your cursor it will be used. So you pretty much just swap the place there and he'll get the stun. So let's say mage is standing here, we are using this to root him, he, you know, blinked immediately, moved away, and you just use your relocation totem, and up, they are both on them. So there's actually a very good thing hiding behind this, beside the good combo with the cap totem, which is actually one of the good things that give capacitor totem the purpose, is actually the static field totem. Because let's just take some better position here. So here we got this, you know, wall. So let's say you're in an Agrand arena and you know how there's a big pillar. So pretty much you use your static field totem here, and once you decide to use it here, it will swap, and it will actually drag all the people stuck into the static field totem through that wall. So not only that they're gonna get interrupted, they're gonna be in a whole mess. And if you are, for example, focusing somebody who is getting lower than HP, you know, fully slowed and stuff like that, so their healer is trying to reach him to heal, so you can simply trap him into the static field totem, do the relocation, and that will move him, interrupt him, mess him up, and during that time you can actually get kill. And it actually helped me a lot of times in solo shuffle and got me a lot of kills. And after that I've been calling a broken class that we need more nerfs and stuff like that. So yeah, I just, when dumb people are trying to be smart. So this is actually a very good tip and trick, and you've probably seen it already because it's all over the YouTube. But yeah, I'm a little bit late with that, but if you didn't hear for that, here it is. So make sure to use it if you wish to. So the second tip and trick that is actually a very useful is actually taking the Alpha Wolf. Now you may probably look at me as the same person, but people actually tested it, and versus the classes they have a lot of pets. such as Unholy DKs, Demo Warlocks, and maybe the Beast Mastery Hunters. This is actually the best talent because you will take it instead of the static accumulation. So what it actually does, as you can read, is while feral spirits are active, chain lightning and crash lightning causes your wolves to attack all nearby enemies for 2.4k physical damage every 2 seconds for the next 8 seconds. So once the DK get out his, I don't know, 10 pets or more and Demon Warlock and stuff like that, all you gotta do is use your Wolfies, use your Crashing Light and just keep spamming Storm Strike, and Wolves can actually deal up to the 20k damage per those 2 seconds. So not only that you're going to clear those pets immediately and with that reduce the damage on you because they won't be damaging you as well, obviously, but it will actually deal that same damage to the Warlock, to the DK, so your burst is actually gonna be even more insane. So you have potential time there if you use your Doom Winds and stuff like that to just quickly one-shot him without healer knowing what's going on because you didn't do anything specifically, but pretty much his pets killed him. And I also like during that crowd versus the DK pets to use Counter-Strike Totem because most of the DKs doesn't use any add-ons and stuff like that for their pets, so it all becomes the mess on the screen, so they just can't destroy that Counter-Strike Totem and it pretty much kills them as well. So yeah, that's the perfect combo. And versus the Unholy DK, Demo Warlocks, and I said maybe Beastmaster Hunter, this is the best talent, so you should use it versus them. You won't be mistaken. Just try it out and let me know in the comment section how it works. I tried it myself and I'm using it always when I'm coming versus those classes. So yeah, other thing that I wanted to talk about is where I said that I'm gonna be talking about why I choose this trinket before, is actually part of these should I say tips and tricks, because just a second, because this way when I'm not using any heal and stuff on myself, I somehow had to divide my survivability and stuff like that. So obviously we have this Earth Shield, which, you know, heals you a little bit over the time, blah blah blah. It's actually a good and useful and chill thing. So we have that one, we have Ancestral Guidance, we have this trinket, we have the Earth Elemental, and of course Astral Shift. And if you're playing the regular dwarf or Dark Iron Dwarf, you actually have this racial, which removes a lot of stuff and is actually a very good thing. So once the fight starts and I see they're focusing me, of course I always use my Earth Elemental, which increases my health by a lot. So when we are in arena, right now I would have around 460k HP, which is insane amount. So already that would distract them. So once we, you know, fight, we are getting trained, we are getting in a little bit danger. Next very good thing is to use probably Astral Shift because of its reduced cooldown. So once it expires, they're probably going to switch or try to do some shenanigans and stuff like that, but they won't be able to kill you through that. At least I hope. It used to happen. We are not surprised at this moment. So after that we have the next two things, which are these Ancestral Guidance and actually our trinket. So Ancestral, once we started getting trained again and, you know, being in dangerous situation, I would just use this Ancestral Guidance and actually, you know, fighting them back. So it would be healing me slowly and it would actually buys me a pretty much time, unless they go into hard burst, then that won't be that much effective. But usually you want to use your Astral Shift in that high burst, so that's the reason why you want to save this for later, for the softer one. And once you get into a hard danger, you can just use your trinket, because not that it increases your maximum health like the Earth Elemental. So for example, they lower you to 200k HP and you use Earth Tele, your health will increase, but your health will remain the same. It will remain the 200k, and actually you did nothing. So the best thing to use your tel is just use it when you are full HP, and that way you know you're gonna get most of it. This trinket works other way, because once you use it, not that it increases your total health, but it actually gives you that health with it. So let's say they lower me to 200k HP, and I use this and it increases my health by 62k, then I would have 262k HP, which is actually sort of an extra heal. So it is actually a very good to be used as another defensive, and it actually provides you much more than using the trinket for damage. Where is it? Yeah, than using this insignia of Alarcity, which does give you haste, but its procs are kinda RNG and you never know what situation you'll get it in. And at this point our damage is doing very well, so at this point we just need this trinket, you know, to help our survivability and, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, this one is very good and I recommend you all to use it. So yeah, I guess that will do for the tips and tricks. So by finishing with tips and tricks, we have come to an end of this video. I really hope I covered everything that I wanted. As far as I'm checking my list, everything is done. So yeah, that's the update guide. I hope this one helped you a lot to, you know, understand this class and, you know, overall to change your gameplay into the better, because it certainly helped me. So once again, if you want to check full in-depth PvP guide, you will have that linked in the description, because most of things from there are relevant, except those things that I changed. But still, if you use that all talents, you won't be mistaken, because it's not that big of a difference. It's just a change in the playstyle. So yeah, if you like this guide and this video and you want to support the channel, just please toss a subscribe, and that would help a ton. And also, if you want to be part of the Enhancement Shaman community and actually take all the add-ons, macros, weak auras and stuff like that, then join Discord, and you also have it linked down in the description. And yeah, thank you all for watching and see you in the next one.